you don't hear the energy, but you can tell as we're
There they are.
Yes, folks hopping on. I know you're all connecting to audio. There's this lovely little like weird moment where you've connected, but the audio isn't there. And so you're afraid you're missing things. So I sort of stall awkwardly for like 10 or 15 seconds, just so everybody feels here. Let some other folks in. Hello, everyone. Awesome. All right. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Jenny. I work for Anderson's Bookshops, and I would love to welcome you to this virtual author event tonight with Colleen Hoover and our special guest, Christina Riccio, to celebrate Colleen's new book, Layla. We're so glad to have our authors with us today, but as well as all of our fans. Just a quick couple of housekeeping things before I turn the evening over to Colleen and Christine. Let's go ahead and keep our video and audio off just to keep the focus on our presenters. I'll go ahead and spotlight them when we get started so that that's what you can focus your view on. We appreciate that. It's like the new normal, right? Everybody mute your mics and keep off your video. But thank you for taking the time to keep your eyes on yet another screen with us tonight. Anderson's, for those of you who are not familiar with us, is an independent bookstore. We've been owned and operated by the Anderson family for going on 6 generations. So we're very proud of our history. And it also means as an independent small business that your support is really personal to us. We really appreciate it. We'd like to take a minute to say thank you for that. I actually work in the bookstore in the basement. So when we get emails and social media comments and authors that we know our fans are just going to love, it really means a lot to us. And there's cheering, there's dancing, there's all kinds of fun things to, especially while we can't see you in person right now. So thank you for your support. It means we can continue to do these kind of events and hopefully in person whenever we can get to that stage, which of course normally we would be in person and all in our room and excitedly talking about this new book. We do normally in before times, almost 400 events a year, but hopefully this virtual style can just keep us tied over till we can be together again, whenever that may be. We do have other virtual events coming up on our calendar for all ages and interests. We'd love for you to check out our website to find your next one. A couple of exciting things just this in the next week or so, next couple of weeks. Stephanie Roble, great thriller. Serena Burdick, great historical fiction. And we just announced Cameron Eubanks Wimberly from Southern Charm, which is going to be super fun too. So all kinds of things coming up. Do check it out. But tonight, we're really happy to welcome back to Anderson's Colleen Hoover, who is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of many novels, including Regretting You, It Ends With Us, and the psychological thriller Verity. She and her family founded the Bookworm Box in 2015, a bookstore and monthly subscription service that offers signed novels donated by authors. Yay, bookstores. All profits go to various charities each month to help those in need. Her novel Confess was filmed as a series by Awestruck and was released in 2017. In 2019, Wayfarer Entertainment, headed by Jane the Virgin star Justin Baldoni, announced that they optioned It Ends With Us for film. Colleen lives in Texas with her husband and their 3 boys. And joining us tonight is our special guest, Christina Riccio. She is the New York Times bestselling author of Again But Better, for which she did come to Anderson's for an event back when. She's been on a quest to encourage more humans to read since the 3rd grade. Now her YouTube channel, Poland Bananas Books, has over 400,000 book-loving subscribers. She makes comedic book reviews, vlogs, sketches, and writing videos chronicling the creation of her own novels. And I believe has another one coming out this year, if I remember correctly, from some industry buzz. So welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having us. I'm so excited. I obviously read Layla the second that I got the arc, and it was great. I'm so excited to talk about it. Do we like open this like we would at a normal event? Like, do you want to give the spiel of what Layla is about, Colleen, or like does everyone know? Your vague spiel.
I am so bad at the elevator pitch. But yeah, I'll talk about it. It's a paranormal romance about Leeds and Layla, and they meet at a bed and breakfast, and then they hit it off, and tragedy strikes, and he takes her back to the bed and breakfast to kind of try to get back to where they were when they met, and creepy things start happening.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you got to do the super vague synopsis for a coho book, because anything else.
It is so hard for me to write a synopsis. So I usually just let the publisher do it. And then, people still are like, you gave too much information.
I hate synopses because of that. Like, and when they do it for my book, I'm like, this is all spoiling everything. Like, I can't imagine, like, with your books, it's just like, I just want to read like nothing about it. I just want to see the title. That's enough.
I know, it's like, you said the character names. No.
Just like, let them be a surprise. So Layla is your first like paranormal, technically, venture. And I wanted you to walk us through like the conception of this. Was it Verity that like kind of dipped your toes in this sort of, I feel like Verity has a similar feel, like it almost has a paranormal feel. It's creepy, it's much darker, but like, when did Layla come about in your mind? Like, where were you? What were you thinking about? How did it happen?
You know, I actually had the idea for Layla before I even wrote Verity. So it's been something that's kind of been on the back burner for a while, but I didn't think I would be good at writing a paranormal. So I just kind of shelved it and had a vague kind of outline for it for a while. But I think what I was stuck on was I'm not a big believer in ghosts. And so it was kind of hard for me to stretch my imagination to the point where I was writing about ghosts. So I kept trying to start this book for a long time. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make Leeds kind of like me in the sense that he questions everything. He doesn't believe in ghosts. And so the beginning of that book, the thought processes he goes through when, Willow kind of comes about is exactly probably how I would react. And once I kind of changed his character in the beginning, it flowed after that.
Nice. So how long did it take you to write Layla? I know you said you write in big chunks the last time I interviewed you, which was like 5.5 years ago, which is crazy.
It was so long ago.
Is that still how you write, or did you have to like, evolve with, COVID even, living at home with everybody all the time? Like, how has that changed?
With Layla, I emailed my editor because this one's with Montlake, and I remember emailing her in November. I thought my book was due in April of 2020. And so in November of 2019, I emailed her and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about writing a paranormal for this next book. What do you think of that? And she goes, the book was due 3 days ago. Like, it was due in November of 2019. I have no idea. I didn't look at my contract. I don't know how I got in my head that it was due in April. And so I ended up having to like write this book pretty fast, but luckily I already had it outlined and it had been, on the shelf that I'd been kind of working on for a while. So I ended up turning it in at the end of February, but I worked November, December, January. It took me about 4 months, I think, to write this one. And that's usually how it works. And when I say 4 months, that's probably a lot of days off in there for me just kind of thinking about the book. But
that's part of the process.
Yeah, when I write, I have to have like at least 7 days of solid writing time with no interruptions, or it starts getting in my head that I've got something coming up in 3 days, and then I can't focus. So I'll spend like 16 hours a day writing on writing days. Most of the time I'm watching TV.
That's some crazy hours though. So what are your favorite paranormal TV shows, books, movies? Since you don't believe in ghosts much, I guess you had never had like an experience where you're like,
I loved the True Bloods or the Sookie Stackhouse series.
Oh yes,
I read all of those books in a month before I wrote my first novel, and Twilight was about around the same time, but I think I've never read another paranormal besides that.
What about show? Did you watch all of True Blood, the show?
Yeah, I did. I think I did. I think the last season got a little crazy.
Yeah, I stopped.
And then my boys and I started Supernatural a few months ago, but when I realized how many episodes there were and that we would have to watch one every day for an entire year.
It's very daunting.
So many episodes. So we're only like 3 episodes deep into that one. But no, I'm not a huge paranormal watcher either.
I feel like I got some Vampire Diaries vibes reading Layla, just a little bit.
I haven't seen Vampire Diaries yet. I watched probably half of the first season, And I actually tried to get my sister to binge it with me yesterday, but she'd already seen it.
Yeah, well, I can't say actually anything about how like they correlate. But I mean, like when I heard that Layla was paranormal, like I was like, oh my God, vampires? Like that's
Yeah.
I just associate paranormal with vampires now because those are like the paranormal books and shows that I've watched so much. So like when I got into it, it was like it was a Coho book, but with like some paranormal in it, which was like so much more fun than I thought it was going to be because I was like picturing going into like a vampire novel, but ghosts was just like you did ghosts in such a fun way, and it was like lighthearted ghost, which is something you don't usually see. And I was wondering, like, so did you have fun writing this novel to the point where you think like maybe you'll do more paranormal, or will you like dip your toes in like other random genres like Coho plus historical fiction or like Coho plus sci-fi? Like,
I don't know if I can tackle historical fiction. I did watch all of Bridgerton.
yes.
But, those authors just spend so much time on the research, and I have a little bit of ADD, so I don't know if I can commit like that. But, mad props to them. But I don't know. I don't honestly really think about what genre I'm writing. I usually come up with the plot first, or, I'll sit down and start thinking I'm writing something. Then it turns out to be a completely different kind of book. So I can't say that I never will, and I can't say that I will because I don't have an idea for one right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, if I get one, I would absolutely do another one. I really like that my readers have supported me in any genre that I've tried out. And that's just like the biggest, probably the thing I love most about my readers and my career is that I can write what I'm in the mood to write. And it makes my job really fun.
Yeah. I mean, it makes your books really fun too, because you never know where you're going to go. Like, I just remember opening Verity and just not knowing what to expect at all. And it went in this crazy direction. I was like, oh crap, like, this is so different and I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mood I was in when I wrote that one. It's really different. But what's funny is my mom and my sisters, when I wrote Slammed, my first book, well, all of my romance books, they know me and they know that I'm not an emotional person and I'm not romantic. And I wrote these books and they were like, where did this come from? But then when I wrote Verity, they were like, there you are. I don't know what that says about me, but they know I'm twisted. And so to them, Verity was more along the lines of what they've always expected me to write. And the romance is way out there for them.
So what do you mean you're not romantic? And then you write all of these romantic characters that are so fun. Are they just like,
I mean, we're not, me and Heath, like neither one of us, like we're not, like we don't say lovey-dovey stuff. We don't write each other poetry. When he buys me flowers, I get angry because he wasted money on plants that are going to die. Like we don't get each other gifts. We don't buy each other Christmas or birthday. Like we're very much alike in that, we have a great marriage. We've been together since I was 16, but if he were to say anything that these guys in my book say, I would laugh at him. But I like reading it and I like writing it. So I don't know. Maybe deep down I am. This is how I channel that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like this secret pocket that like you don't like to like act it out in real life, but it's like fun to imagine.
I like to read it, but I don't like to live it.
I mean, a lot of things we like to read, we don't like to live, like the Hunger Games.
Exactly. I don't want ghosts in my house, but I have fun writing about it.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you can tell us, like, if there's any part of Layla without actually telling us that was like the most fun for you to like conceive and write, because there's so many fun scenes with the ghosts.
That's a good question. I enjoyed the first couple of chapters between Leeds and Layla. I enjoyed their meet cute, their banter. What I didn't enjoy was the middle of the book. And I think I can say the same for the readers. It's kind of uncomfortable because you're like, do I like Leeds? Like, am I supposed to like him? Is he creepy? Like, I don't really want him to like Willow, like I feel like it was uncomfortable to read and it was uncomfortable to write, but I knew how it was going to end and I knew what was going on. So I knew the end goal, but I really liked them together, and kind of wish I could have, that we could have seen more of
before.
Yeah, more of the before in it, but then the book wouldn't have worked, the plot wouldn't have worked. So, for what it was, the book turned out how I wanted it, but I did have the most fun in the beginning.
I also want more after. Like, it ended, and I was like, "Excuse me, I need one more chapter." Like, I need some after.
Get the epilogue, because the epilogue came late, and some people that got the arc didn't get the epilogue.
Wait, really? I didn't have an epilogue.
You have the arc?
Yes, I have the arc. Oh my gosh, there's more in here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go read that after this.
Short, but it might make you a little happier.
I was going to, my first impression of Leeds was like, oh my gosh, this is a serial killer, and that's not where we're going. And I thought he was like, I was getting very like You vibes from him. Like, I thought he was gonna be
a little bit creepy.
Yeah, like very kind of obsessive immediately sort of vibes.
Yeah.
But then it was different, which is exciting. I was gonna ask you about your opening scenes, because you're the queen of the opening scene. Like, they're always like, oh God, that was great. Like, when do they come to you first, or do you go back and like kind of hark on it?
I cannot start a book without having the first chapter exactly how I want it. And it takes me some time. I have been working on the book I'm writing right now. I'm still on chapter 1 because I'm not happy with how I've opened it. And I've opened it. I probably have 40 different openings to this book. I don't like any of them. But once I get to like 10,000 words, then it's smooth sailing from there. But the first 10,000, I spend the most time on by far and do the most rewrites. But I have to write in order. So I just get really stuck in the beginning sometimes, and that's what takes me so long. So yeah, I definitely spend the most time on the beginning.
I like in the second book, like my first book, I knew how I wanted to start it, and the second book I wasn't sure, and like I stayed on it for 100,000 years, and like I read like your opening chapters, and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, how? And I like, because I went and wrote the rest of it, and then I came back and was like, I'm not happy with this, and it philosophed everything, and I spent like weeks. It just isn't the same.
Well, the great thing about that is you can always go back and make it how you want it.
But like you said, it's not the same going forward until you like know that. So
it's true because you're inventing people, you're inventing humans, and until you have their personality and who they are down, it's really hard to continue with the rest of the story without having them exactly how you want them and who you want them to be.
Let me see here. Okay, so I wanted to ask you where you start with your characters. Like, did Leeds pop into your head before like you had the whole concept of the book, or in Layla, or do they like develop as you write? And then
that one came as I was outlining. And when I say outlining, I use that term very loosely because my outlines are not like not coherent. Like if you tried to read it, it wouldn't make any sense to anyone. It's just scribble. And sometimes my outlines end up longer than my books. Like I just write a bunch of stuff until something sticks. But I actually outlined this book from Layla's point of view.
Oh.
And from Willow's point of view. And there was just something about it that wasn't working for me. And then when I switched it over to Leeds, that's when it kind of clicked. I don't really write books from an all-male perspective, so that was new for me, unless it's like a retelling of a book I've already written. So yeah, this one was kind of tough. Like this one took a while to start, and I went through a lot that I ended up not using.
I think like it being all male is why I was like, oh my God, is this a male serial killer? Like I don't know, it's just like I usually don't have all male.
It's unusual, even for me. Like I don't really read books from the male perspective because we read romance, and there's not a lot that are strictly from the male perspective.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I question myself, like, should I be doing this? Should I be going this direction? But that's how it worked out.
Okay, you have to talk about Taylor Swift's song Willow because it does go so well with the book.
And it came out like right after the book release, and I saw that she had this song called Willow, and I was like, what is this? So then I waited to read the lyrics and listen to it, and it gave me chills.
Oh my gosh, it's like she had an arc, because like right down to like every bait and switch was a work of art and everything. It's like, oh my God, that is them. And just like the invisible string line that goes through it with the music video. And like,
I can confirm that was pure coincidence. Taylor Swift did not read Layla. I wish.
Like the universe had you guys both on the same wavelength.
We should be besties.
If you ever do get to be besties, please like bring me in there.
I'll call you.
Okay, we all want to know what's coming down the pipeline for you. Like, what are you writing? What are you working on? What's next?
I have 3 books that I'm working on right now, and none of them have stuck yet. So I honestly don't know. There's probably going to be a little bit of some quiet months from me because I'm a little behind.
Well, you just put out 2 books, so I feel like
right. Like I just put out 2 books, but usually I will have one turned in when one releases, but it hasn't happened that way this time. I'm about to turn one in to my publisher in a couple of, well, I won't say a couple, like 4 months, because I still don't know which one of the 3 I'm working on I'm going to turn in. But I also have an idea for kind of a suspense book that I want to put out, but it's confusing because whatever I give to my publisher next will not come out until probably 2022. But whatever I write for myself next will probably likely come out this summer or this fall. It's just how it works for me. Like when I indie, I will finish the book, have it edited, and then hit release like 2 weeks later. So those are always a lot faster.
Cool. So like you're kind of working on a project that will go with all like out of the 3, one is like publisher and one is indie, or like?
Yeah. I owe 2 to the publisher, so I'm going to give them probably the 2 romance novels I'm working on, and then the suspense novel I think I'm going to keep for myself and publish it this year. So I think the next thing that people will get from me is more along the lines of Verity, maybe.
Nice.
And then a romance. So it kind of goes back and forth, like I did Heartbones indie last year, and then Layla, and then we'll see. I don't know.
Excited. Verity is my favorite now. Like I love all of your books, but Verity like just hit so hard.
Yeah, I was really shocked. Like I wrote that thinking, oh, this will be a fun experiment. Nobody's really going to like it because it's not my usual. And I legit went into it thinking that it was going to have a small audience, and it's been my best-selling book to date by far. So
wow.
I'm glad I kind of went out on that limb and wrote it for myself, because otherwise I would have never released it, and it ended up being a good decision. And it kind of made me feel like just that the world is at my fingertips. I can write about anything, so
yeah. No,
it's not that I have the ability, but just that I have the freedom to do it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, and yeah, that book was everywhere afterward, and I was like, oh my God, Colleen's here, Colleen's there. That's it's just very, very cool. Okay, I have a bunch of lightning round quick questions for you before we go to the audience questions, and they're just kind of like random crap. But
I love it.
So first question here is like, what is your current toothpaste that you like the best?
I don't know what it's called.
You don't know what your toothpaste is?
I don't. It's not Colgate. I hate Colgate. I don't know why. My grandmother used to do Colgate. What's it called? Oh, you hate Colgate too? Sorry, I'm talking about
what is the hatred against?
They're like, I hate Colgate too. He's passionate about his toothpaste hate.
What did it do to you?
It was one of those things. My grandmother always had Colgate toothpaste, And I just grew up really tired of it, I guess. I do some kind of teeth whitening toothpaste, but it doesn't help very much.
Okay, let's move on. Favorite vegetable?
Does potatoes count?
Yeah, potatoes are vegetables, aren't they?
Potatoes, yeah, but they're full of carbs. Potatoes and then broccoli.
But they're delicious. Oh, those are like my two favorite too.
And in the forum.
What has been your favorite quarantine meal that you've made over
Shrimp tacos, shrimp taco. I've had so many shrimp tacos.
That sounds fancy. I mean,
it's just really easy to make because my husband makes it. He's really good at it. And I'm like, can we have shrimp tacos tonight? So then I don't have to cook.
What has been your favorite quarantine binge watch?
Oh, that's so tough. I've seen everything on TV. Me and Taryn are really into The Servant right now on Apple TV. It's just creepy. We're on season 2, but I really enjoyed obviously Tiger King at the beginning of quarantine. That was fun times when quarantine was actually a little bit fun. And I really enjoyed Bridgerton.
Yes.
I can't think. I made a list of like 50 things. I will say my favorite movie I've seen this year is Baby Teeth, and it's not the book by the same title. It's because something completely different. It's kind of like a YA. I love that movie. I've watched it.
Talking about that, and I made like a note to watch it, and I completely forgot.
You need to watch it.
I'm writing it down right now.
So good. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I thought it was filmed really well. I thought the script was really well done.
Cool.
And acting, oh my gosh, the acting was just superb.
What is the first thing you want to do when we can go places?
I miss the movie theater.
Me too.
So much. Like, I'm a big movie junkie, and we used to go all the time, and that's real. I really thought I would miss eating out because we're really bad about eating out, like our family in general, because none of us like to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And so any excuse, like any of the 5 of us will be like, let's go eat here tonight. And we're like, okay. And so restaurants, we really miss restaurants, but I don't miss them as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, I miss the movies so much. It's just like there were so many things I was excited about that were like coming out in movies and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So you missed that. Like,
what happened to The Quiet Place too?
I was so excited about that.
Yeah, and I figured it would come to like a streaming platform at some point in the past year, but it never did. So I guess they're holding off until people can go see it.
Well, did you see the first one in a theater? Because part of the magic was like how quiet it was in the theater.
Yeah, it was so good.
Maybe they want everyone to have that. Like,
yeah, I'm fine with waiting till we can go see it.
Yeah, it probably won't be as fun watching that one on the TV. But like even just like Black Widow, like when is it gonna come out? I was looking for that forever. Okay, so was Willow like one of your only ventures into T Swift's music, or like do you have a favorite Taylor Swift song? Because that's one of my questions.
I'm really bad at knowing the names of songs, but I do listen to a lot of Taylor Swift. Like her popular songs, obviously, like Shake It Off, that everyone knows, but I like her breakup anthems. But yeah, I'm so bad about every artist. I am so bad about remembering titles and stuff. So but I love Taylor Swift, and I watched her documentary, and it made me love her even more.
So did you like Folklore and Evermore this year? I mean, this past year. It just feels like this has all been one blob. Okay, I have 2 more questions, and we will go to the audience. What is your favorite kind of water?
This is a weird question, but I'm so picky about water. Fred water is my favorite. I like
red water.
Red water.
Oh, red water.
No. Oh, you said red? No, Fred, like the name Fred.
Oh, okay, Fred.
It's like a flat bottle. And I like Smart Water, and I like Voss water, and I like Life water. I will not drink Fuji water. Fiji,
it's Fiji, I think. Yeah.
It tastes like slime, and I don't like it. And I hate Evian. Hate it.
randomly strong feelings against water.
Evian and Colgate.
I hate Arrowhead water, so I do have one that I really don't like.
They don't really sell that in Texas, but I've heard people talking about it before.
It makes my throat dry. It's like that's not what water's supposed to do.
I wonder if they put sodium or something in it like Dasani does. Right now I'm drinking, I don't know what, the Ozarka. I think it's from Walmart.
And last question before we go to the audience. Do you have a favorite Disney movie? You just don't feel like a Disney movie person because of how dark you go with both.
I hate cartoons. Like, am I just sitting here talking about all the things I hate? You have to, like, it's really hard for me to get into a cartoon. Are Disney movies all cartoons?
What about Pixar?
I mean,
like Pixar?
I'll tell you what I like. Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay, so like the claymation.
Yeah, if that's what that is, I don't know. Like,
it's like
it was just funny. And that's really pretty much the only cartoon I can think of that I like.
Oh my goodness. Wait, what about Up? What about like
It was okay.
It was okay. Oh my God.
Just not a cartoon person. I don't know why, especially if they have music in them. Oh my God. Like, I fell asleep during Frozen. We took my niece and I was like, someone just put me out of my misery.
Oh my God.
Was funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say Olaf is hysterical.
Yeah, he was funny, but I'm just not a cartoon person. And I think it's because I had 3 little kids who loved cartoons around the time I was trying to go through college and I was working full time, and it was just on for 10 years. Cartoons were on for 10 years in my house.
They ruined it.
And I got really tired of it.
Did they rewatch one again and again and again, like The Lion King or Toy Story or something?
Yeah, I can't really think of what.
You don't like Mulan?
I don't know that I've ever seen Mulan.
Oh my gosh, it's the best Disney movie. You have to watch it. It has
with The Rock in it.
No. What Rock?
Rock. The guy, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, that's Moana. That's Moana.
Moana. No, I've never seen either one of those.
Well, Mulan is probably from like a time where like maybe your kids weren't there yet, but also you were like an adult, so maybe you missed it. But
yeah, maybe.
It's the best one, and it has the best music. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Do you know that song?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, if you're gonna watch one Disney movie, watch Mulan.
Mulan. Okay, I'm gonna do this for you if you promise to watch Baby Teeth.
Oh, I will. I'll watch it. I have it down.
I'll watch Mulan.
Okay, let's take audience cues.
Okay, now that we have hashed out all the things, at least some of the things that Colleen hates, and
I could go on. Ice cream, pizza, sunshine, boat.
Oh, you're joking. Okay.
We're trying to sell your books here, Colleen. All right, some great questions from the audience here. Okay. Colleen, do you have a favorite book that you have written?
That's a good question. I think It Ends With Us means the most to me. I had the most fun writing Verity, and probably Slammed because I didn't think anyone was going to read Slammed. And I had no audience because it was my first book. So it was the one that was the least stressful. But yeah, definitely It Ends With Us means the most to me because it was a little bit personal.
Okay. Do either of you have time to read? And if so, what are you reading right now?
Do you want to go, Christine?
Sure. I just finished The Vanishing Half.
Yes. Is that Britt Bennett?
Yes. Yes. I think so. Yeah. And I'm reading more, which is excellent too. So
I just bought The Vanishing Half and got it in the mail. I'm excited.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the audiobook. It was so good. And I'm also reading Gail Forman's new book, We Are Inevitable, which has been really good too.
Has it released yet, or is it an arc?
It's an arc. It comes out on the 1st of June. So I'm ahead of the game here.
Nice. I like her. I'm reading Trevor Noah's Born a Crime because I'm making my kids read it because I homeschool them now. And so I'm trying to read what I forced them to read because it's only fair, but I also love Trevor Noah. And then I just started The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Oh my God.
We had her for her event. She's
No
amazing.
way. Okay,
Yeah.
can I ask a question real fast? What is Cameron Eubanks coming for? Did she write a book?
She did, yes. One Day You'll Thank Me, it's called. Now you're really pushing my.
Join that event. I love her.
Yes. Well, I'll have to send you the info.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 folks from Southern Charm that have books coming out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember the
I'm
name.
a Bravo junkie, y'all. Like I love me some Bravo TV.
Awesome. Okay, so and both of you can answer this. So what made you want to be a writer?
That's the only thing I ever remember wanting to be. Of course, I went to college for something else and did that for 10 years after college. But I just remember not being able to read and write yet and having stories to tell. And I was so jealous of my sister because she knew how to read and write. So I was so excited to start kindergarten. I remember it. I remember being jealous of her being able to write our address down. So it's just something like I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's such a cute little story.
Jealousy made me love to write.
We'll take it. I mean, it ends with us here, right? So
yeah, I mean, I loved reading and was obsessed with books, and like the idea of like making my own book, it felt impossible when I was younger. I was like, there's so many pages, like how could I ever write this much? But I just remember being so excited to get Microsoft Word so that like I could pretend to write my own book, and not pretend, but like, you know, I wrote my own little stories on Microsoft Word, and I was like, oh my God, I can print it out and it's like a real paper with words. So I've always wanted to tell stories, and it wasn't like, eventually I was like, oh, maybe I can write a whole book. But for a long time I was like, I could never do that. That's so much word.
I know, when you think about like back in school and you're like a 6-page paper and you know, it took like 3 months of planning and research and that, yeah, it's a big difference.
My kids right now, man. My 17-year-old, I give him writing assignments every week, and he's like, I'm almost at a page. Am I done yet? I don't think
you're allowed to say that when your mom's an author, right? Like you have no sympathy there.
Oh, they hate it. They hate writing so much.
And you're like, yeah, and I had a book due yesterday, but you know, I didn't know about it.
Well, it's different when it's in school too.
Sure. How do you come up with the names of your characters?
I think it's really important in this, especially with how small really the online world is, to try to make your character names a little unique so they don't get confused with other popular names that are like that. So that's why I always have at least one of my main characters have a unique name. Baby books and baby name websites, I browse those all the time. And used to, in the old days when we had signings in person, I would still sticky notes of reader names that I liked. And I've used several that way.
Oh, I remember you answering that question. Yeah, that's fun.
And Colleen, you have lots of tattoos. What is your favorite one that you have?
Oh, that's hard. It's like asking me which is my favorite kid. I don't know. Okay, let me just explain them to you. I have this one. It says, like the love that let us share our name. It's an Ava Brothers lyric. And me and my 2 sisters got it. And we all share the same dad. And he had been dead for like 10 years when we got the tattoo. But my little sister found some old writing of his and pieced together the tattoo in his handwriting using old letters. So we thought that was really cool. This one I got, it's a heart from It Ends With Us that I got with my mom and my sister. And my oldest son was born on Halloween. So when he turned 18, me and him went and got a ghost together.
Oh.
And then my kids drew this dinosaur with wings and a party hat and one leg. And they were being smart alecks. And so I went and got it tattooed because it was a fun thing. And then Heath is legit. I got that. Like I was getting another tattoo and I was like, can you also do this one? And I figured, you know, we'd been married 20 years at the time when I got this tattoo, and he was legit for 20 years. He's still legit. But if anything ever happens and we get divorced, I can just put an L in there and be like, health is legit.
My favorite is the dinosaur.
We actually put that on like t-shirts and stuff in our merch. It's just become like our family crest. Mom, just shut up.
That's amazing. Okay, then let's see. A couple of questions actually. Do you ever think you will, excuse me, do you ever think you will write about LGBTQ plus characters?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I've had some side characters. I haven't written one that's the main character yet. I feel like I have some education to do for myself before I go there. But also I've been spending the last year kind of trying to focus on supporting the people that are already writing those characters, because I feel like there's a big difference in the publishing world and some discrimination going on there against, not intentionally probably, but just in the past, there have been discrepancies in pay and everything for writers. And so I've been going on Facebook and trying to promote writers and friends of mine that write those books. And I just think it's really important to kind of highlight the people that are already doing that instead of taking up that space myself, and until I know for sure that I'm doing it right.
That's excellent. I appreciate that too. There's those issues in the publishing industry too, and even on the book selling side. So we got to bring attention to it.
Yeah.
Are there any scenes from Layla that were cut from the final draft that you wish you could have kept in?
I don't really cut a lot from like the final drafts, and my publishers are really good about not cutting anything. It's usually when they come back, they want me to add something and add a chapter here or there. So usually when I want something to end up in a book, it ends up in there. So there's never really anything that I'm like, oh, too bad that didn't go in there. It's usually me having to add more.
And let's see, Mel, same customer fan says, I think almost all of your books have a first sentence that sort of give off dark vibes. Do you do this on purpose, or is it just a coincidence? So that goes back to what you guys were talking about.
No, I don't. And this book I'm working on now, like I was like, I'm going to write a romantic comedy. And it starts off so dark. And I'm just like, this is not a romantic comedy. I don't know. Like that's what kind of catches my attention, I think, as I read. And so it ends up being how I start books. It's not intentional.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot that the first sentence here is I placed 2 layers of duct tape over Layla's mouth before I came downstairs, but I could still hear her muffled screams. Like, it's intense.
Twisted. Who is the favorite character that you've ever written, male or female?
That's a good question. I think it changes every day. I don't know. Depends on if I'm in a romantic mood or a twisted mood. I think Lily from It Ends With Us is the one I'm the most proud of. If you could be proud of one of your characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are the boys ever embarrassed by you, or have they accepted that they have an awesome mom? Which Carla says, I have to keep reminding my teenagers that they have a really cool mom.
I think that we get along really well. They're my best friends. I think they think I'm cool, and they would think I was cool. They thought I was cool 10 years ago before I wrote. So that has nothing to do with it. I think they think this side of it is kind of weird, and they don't understand how we got here, and neither do me and Heath sometimes. But
have they read any of your books or any parts of them?
Yeah, my oldest I don't think has, but my youngest 2 read Heartbones that came out last summer, and then they read Slammed and Point of Retreat, the first 2 books I wrote. They read those back when they came out, and there's some books that are a little bit more mature. I don't have a problem with them reading mature stuff. They're all older teenagers, but they don't want to read it from their mom, and I totally get that. So sure. I'll warn them, like, I don't want to read this one.
It's good to have that open honesty before you scar them too deeply with that, right?
Exactly. And we all have different tastes. Like my middle son, he wants me to write a book about dragons so bad, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Dragons, but a dinosaur with a party hat. I mean, that,
That could be the cover, right?
right. Colleen Hoover's first picture book. Was writing It Ends With Us a cathartic experience because it was personal to you?
I think it was cathartic for both me and my mom. I just really wanted to write it to kind of put myself in her shoes. And I think it helped me understand the decisions she made, and it kind of helped her get closure in the sense that I think she always, well, I don't think this, she told me she always kind of questioned leaving my dad and if she did wrong by me and my sister. And I think her reading the book helped her see, like, okay, I made the right decision. It felt wrong at times, but I did what was best for my daughters. So yeah, it was very healing, I think.
Do you and Taryn plan to write any more books together?
We talk about it all the time. We're just so busy. And if we do write a book together, I think the mistake we made was announcing that we wrote a book together, that we weren't finished writing. And then we had expectations and deadlines. So our goal is to write one someday and not tell anyone about it until it releases. So hopefully.
Okay. I don't know how your publicist will feel about that, but we'll let her sit with that for a little bit. Okay, so a question for both of you. I know you talked about this a little bit already, but how has the pandemic changed your writing process? And actually, has it changed your reading process as well?
Do you want to go, Christy?
Sure. I mean, like, Colleen's wrote in a million books, and I've only written 2. So it was like, is this just second book stuff that's changing, or is this like the pandemic? Because I was super anxious, and I think it was partially second book because you feel like the pressure now of people, and that made it so much harder.
You probably felt pressure with your first too, because you had an audience.
Yeah, but like I had no deadline, so it was just I was just having fun for a long time until I decided, like, it's ready. So let's try to, get it published. But with this one, it was like all on deadline, and like I felt all the pressure from the first book, and I just had so much anxiety. So it was just so different in that, like, I couldn't write every day. I could write like when I was inspired, and like I would just try to run with that and go for as long as I can, and then there would be a day where I'm like, oh, crippled with anxiety. And so it was more of like an up and down rather than like a la la la, this is so fun. What about you?
It's still like that for me. I mean, I've written, I don't even know how many books, 23, I think. And with every single book, I feel like I don't know how to write a book. And it's just the lowest lows and the highest highs. It's just up and down. You're right. And I feel like that's not your second book. That's just going to be every book.
Hate to break it to you, Christine. Some tough love coming here from Colleen.
That was actually a question I didn't ask you. I was going to ask, like, so where did it stop being so stressful?
It gets worse, I feel like, with every book. And I don't know. There's just the pressure of wanting to, and for me, it's not like competition or even really wanting to give my readers what they want. It's me trying to make myself happy, and I get harder to please every time I release a book. And so it's my own undoing. But I feel like I kind of have not been so hard on myself during the pandemic. I think I wrote a lot in the beginning, back when, I don't know, the beginning of the pandemic just felt different. I think we all thought it was only going to last a couple of months. And so I still felt, inspired. I had my kids at home. It was, we just had a good time in the first month or so. And then you're like, oh, this isn't getting better. This is really, really terrible. And so then it starts to affect you creatively. But I don't think I've really written anything of substance or quality since last August. I've watched a lot of TV.
Not much harder the longer it went on. Yeah, because I wrote Better Together, like the first 4 drafts during like the first 3-4 months.
That's when I wrote Heartbones. And after that, it was like, oh, 2020 is a beast. And I just want to zone out and watch TV and not think about it. Yeah. But this month has been better. I don't know why, maybe because it's a different year. And
There's some hope.
yeah, there's some hope. The vaccination, we got vaccinated a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, you did? Dang.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we got very lucky. In Texas, it's been, I think it's been kind of I don't want to say a bad word, cluster duck everywhere with how this is rolling out. But I went online, and we have a health system here, a hospital system here that lets you apply online to see if you qualify. And based on some health issues, we qualified, and they gave us an appointment the next week. So we got our first one, had absolutely no reaction to it. And we get our second one in 2 weeks. So
Wow,
That's amazing.
awesome.
hopefully everyone starts having that ability to get it.
Yeah, it's been really hard in Illinois. They
Yeah.
took care of all the healthcare workers, and now they're working on senior citizens. My 91-year-old grandma got hers first one yesterday. So I'm really excited about that. But they, like, the next group is teachers, to train, because a lot of kids are going back to school, and they're saying it's going to be like 10 to 12 weeks before they're going to be able to get to teachers because they don't have the supplies, So
Yeah. See, for some reason they sent certain parts of Texas a lot more than other parts. So they're already on different levels, and so it really depends on your location here. But yeah, for some reason, and maybe it's the population, I don't know, but I read that Texas got a lot more than a lot of states, unfortunately.
Well, I'm glad to hear you guys are
That's awesome. that you
taken
got it.
care of. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to get that too. Has the pandemic changed your reading at all?
It's made it harder to sit down. I feel like it's just like
I actually been listening to audio a lot more, and I haven't before. I've never been a big audio book listener, but yeah, I've done a lot of audio this year.
Are you
Have you
doing
discovered any new authors?
Any
that
new
were
authors?
Yeah, new to you during this?
It's like asking me Taylor Swift songs, like now that I think of it, I can't think of it. One I finished a few months ago that I really enjoyed was Jocelyn Jackson's Never Have I Ever. Listen to that whole audio on a drive. And then, like I said, I just started The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I'm doing that on audio. And Jen Armentrout's Of Blood and Ash, I think it's called. I'm working on that one on audio too.
The first book that I managed to sit down and read after the pandemic started was Heartbones. And I finally was like, I could concentrate enough to sit and read the whole thing within 2 days. And it was such a relief. It's like, oh, I can read again.
We had a lot of customers at the beginning, especially, that were saying that it was hard to read. And the things that were bestsellers for us were it seemed so counterintuitive, like books about pandemics.
Really?
All the time. And we were all like, are you kidding? Why do you want to read about more? But that's how people, understand that there is an end to it, and there's to get to the other side, I guess. But it's been hard to read.
Yeah,
what do you guys
is definitely better right now for anxiety?
For sure. And actually you can get audiobooks through independent bookstores at libro.fm. That's my little plug for the night.
Nice.
Yes. What do you guys miss the most about bookstores?
The bookstore.
Everything, the signings, the readers,
just walking around.
No.
Touching books. Now I would be afraid to touch anything.
Yes. Well, they're still there. I guarantee you that the bookstores are still there. I'm sure, Colleen, you've seen too, is people, they want stuff to do during all of this. So bookstores have a real place, but it was very bizarre. We had to be closed from about mid-March through the end of May at Anderson's. And that was so strange to just be there every day and be just throwing piles of books on the floor upstairs because, there were no customers, but that's where we needed to stack stuff for pickup and everything. And it was a weird time to have that long of a, you've been there when we've been closing the store or whatever one night when it was empty, but not for many days at a time. That was weird. But they're there. We'll get back to them someday soon. If everybody keeps getting vaccinated like Colleen, then we'll get there and we can have you all back. And that's going to be so fun when we can be in person together. I think there will be quite a bit of emotion from my coworkers.
I really think the pandemic, as awful as it's been for a lot of families, it's also, I think, taught us all to appreciate more and not to take as much for granted. It definitely has our family for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And to feel lucky that you've got the right people that you have to be stuck with all the time, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
want to just do like all of the things. Like I'm never like saying no to like a hang. Like, no, let's go, let's do it.
I
Definitely.
swear a year and a half ago, I was like, I'm never going on a cruise again. And now I'm like, gosh, I miss cruises so bad. It's going to be a while, I think, before the cruise industry picks back up too.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Christine,
That's all them.
Christine, do you want to tell us a little bit about your book that's coming out this spring before we sign off for the
Sure.
night?
I read the blurb earlier. It sounds so fun.
Yeah, so I feel like the blurb is so spoilery. I'm just like, I obviously haven't like done any like talking about this book except for like in my video announcing it thus far. So I'm sorry if it's shaky here, but, so it's called Better Together. It comes out June 1st and it is about two sisters, who were separated by a pretty volatile divorce when they were really young, and they live on opposite coasts. It's kind of like a play inspired by play. It's not a play. It's a play on The Parent Trap. Like it's inspired by The Parent Trap, but they don't meet up again until they are 19 and 21. So a lot of time has gone by and they don't know each other. And so, and I don't know how to explain this without like spoiling. So they're both at like parts of their life where they're kind of quarter life crisising, if you've been through your 20s, quarter life crisis, and they're like a little early for it because she's only 19 and only 21, but they just they want to know what happened with their parents, that it's caused like a big kind of void in their past, and they decide to switch places when they meet up, and kind of it's hard to explain this without spoiling it. It's Parent Trap meets Freaky Friday.
No, that sounds great. I mean,
it's fun, and it's also has like the angst of the family drama. But
yeah, that's what I'm excited about because I found it interesting to know like that a messy divorce split them up, and like one parent, I guess, takes one daughter and another takes the other. And I just couldn't imagine, that happening with my kids. Like, okay, we're going to split up so much that we're splitting the family down the middle. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, they're kind of like, what the F were they thinking doing this? And like they get real upset when they exchange like points of view on it. So yeah, and then there's romance too, because I can't write a book without like fun romancy stuff. Those are my favorite parts, and I'm like itching just to write just a straight up romance book now.
Well, go for it. Absolutely. Clearly there's an audience there. So we can't wait to read it. That's going to be great. I'm just put in a proposal to have an event with you when it comes out in June. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to see you again. But I think we have hit all of the questions in the chat. There were so many great questions too. You guys, you have some excellent readers here. But I want to thank both of you for taking the time. I know it's a little bit of a different thing than hopping on a plane and being on a big long book tour, but hopefully, as we were saying earlier, you can be in your sweatpants and the business on top and the comfy on the bottom. And we are really glad to be able to share your new book, Colleen, with everybody. And Christine, we thank you for joining us too. Yes, Layla by Colleen Hoover.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you, Christine, and thank you all the readers who joined us and asked questions. I love you. Y'all are so supportive. Y'all make this a dream job.
Yes, for sure. If you did when you ordered your book, those will be ready. I'll be going to the store tomorrow and I'll get everything all ready. So we'll send you an email when those are ready for you to pick up, or when we start shipping those out, so you can have looking forward to that you can have a book coming that you can sit and enjoy. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Christine. Everybody, happy reading and be safe out there, okay?
Bye. Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.